There are moments in life when everything seems to fall apart, when the world appears to close its doors and silence replaces every hopeful sound. For some, those moments become the end, but for a few, they become the beginning of a transformation that changes everything. This is one of those stories, the story of a young man named Ayaan, whose journey from struggle to strength became a beacon of hope for everyone who had ever fallen and wondered if they could rise again. Ayaan grew up in a small town, the son of a factory worker and a homemaker. His family lived modestly, surviving paycheck to paycheck, but his parents never let him feel poor in spirit. They taught him that character was worth more than comfort and that dreams could take him further than money ever could. But dreams, Ayaan learned early, were not always easy to hold on to. When Ayaan was just 16, his father lost his job after the factory shut down unexpectedly. Overnight, the steady rhythm of their lives was replaced with uncertainty. Bills piled up, and his father, once a proud and strong man, seemed to crumble under the weight of failure. His mother began taking on sewing jobs to help, working late into the night under the dim glow of a single bulb. Ayaan could see the fatigue etched into her face, but she never complained. Ayaan wanted to help, but all he had were his books and a fierce determination to make something of himself. He believed education could be their escape, so he studied relentlessly. But life wasn't kind. With mounting debts and no steady income, he was forced to drop out of college after his first year. It broke him. For days, he locked himself in his room, feeling the weight of helplessness crush his spirit. He questioned everything, his purpose, his worth, even his faith. One night, unable to sleep, Ayaan walked to the small rooftop of their house. The town was quiet, and the stars above seemed like distant witnesses to his despair. He whispered into the darkness, "Why me? Why is life so hard for those who try?" The silence that followed wasn't comforting, but something within him stirred, a faint voice that said, "Because you're meant to be stronger." That small whisper changed everything. The next morning, Ayaan made a promise to himself: if life was going to test him, he would fight back harder. He began working small jobs, delivering newspapers in the morning, tutoring kids in the evening, and fixing computers at night. He barely slept, but every day he reminded himself, this is not the end, this is the beginning. Over time, he saved enough money to buy a used laptop. That single tool became his gateway to a new world. He began learning digital skills online, graphic design, writing, and marketing. It wasn't easy. There were moments when the screen blurred through his tears, moments when hunger distracted his focus, but he kept pushing. Every obstacle became a reason to try harder. Ayaan started freelancing online. At first, he earned just a few dollars, barely enough to help his family, but those small wins gave him hope. Slowly, his clients began appreciating his work. One project led to another, and soon, he was earning enough to pay his family's bills and support his parents. His father, once broken by failure, began smiling again. His mother's tired eyes finally found rest. But success did not arrive without struggle. There were times when clients didn't pay, when his laptop broke down, when people mocked his online dreams. Yet, Ayaan refused to quit. He had learned that pain was not a punishment, it was preparation. Every struggle had a purpose, and every failure had a lesson hidden within it. Years passed, and Ayaan's persistence began to bear fruit. He started his own small digital agency from home, hiring young people from his town who, like him, were struggling to find opportunities. He taught them what he had learned through sweat and sleepless nights, the value of perseverance, the importance of self-belief, and the magic of consistency. He never forgot where he came from. He used a portion of his income to help local students pay for their education, giving them the chance he once lost. He often visited schools and colleges to share his story, standing before young faces filled with the same fear and doubt he once had. Life will test you, he told them, but every struggle you face is shaping your strength. The pain you feel now will become the power you carry tomorrow. One day, as Ayaan stood outside the same factory where his father had once worked, now abandoned and covered in rust, he felt tears well up in his eyes, not of sadness, but of gratitude. That place, which once symbolized loss, had led him to discover his own strength. It was there that his story had begun. He realized that the struggles that nearly broke him were the very reasons he became unbreakable. Without them, he would never have found his purpose. Without the darkness, he would never have seen the light within himself. Years later, Ayaan's name became known across his country as a self-made entrepreneur and motivational speaker. People admired his success, but few understood the nights he cried in silence, the meals he skipped to save money, or the fear he faced when everything seemed uncertain. Yet, that was the beauty of his journey, his strength was born from his struggle. When journalists asked him what kept him going, Ayaan always smiled and said, "Because I knew that if I stopped trying, I'd never know how strong I could be." He often shared one story that stayed with him forever. It was about a blacksmith who hammered iron day after day. A man watching him once asked, "How do you know which strike breaks the metal?" The blacksmith replied, "It's not the last strike that breaks it, it's all the ones before." That, Ayaan believed, was how life worked. Every failure, every setback, every heartbreak, they were all strikes shaping the person we were meant to become. He carried that lesson in everything he did. When life got tough, he didn't ask, "Why me?" anymore. Instead, he asked, "What is this teaching me?" And with that mindset, nothing could defeat him. As the years went by, Ayaan's story inspired countless others. He built schools for underprivileged children and launched training programs for youth. He believed no one should give up just because life became hard. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't, he often said, isn't talent, it's persistence. It's the decision to try one more time when the world tells you to quit. One evening, while giving a speech to thousands of young dreamers, he paused for a moment and looked at the audience. "Do you know what strength really means?" he asked. "It's not about lifting weights or building muscles. Strength is waking up after failure and deciding to fight again. Strength is forgiving yourself for yesterday's mistakes and believing in tomorrow's possibilities. Strength is choosing hope when everything seems hopeless." The hall erupted in applause, but Ayaan didn't smile right away. Instead, he closed his eyes for a moment, remembering his 16-year-old self, the boy who once stood under the night sky, broken and afraid. He wished he could tell that boy, "You'll make it. You'll fall, but you'll rise stronger than ever." When the applause faded, Ayaan continued, "You are not defined by your struggles. You are defined by how you rise above them. Life doesn't reward those who have it easy, it rewards those who refuse to give up." After the speech, a young girl came up to him, tears in her eyes. "Sir," she said softly, "I was about to quit everything. But your story, it gave me hope." Ayaan smiled gently and replied, "Then my pain has served its purpose." As he walked off the stage that night, the lights behind him casting long shadows on the ground, he realized something profound: every shadow exists only because there's light. His struggles were his shadows, and his strength was the light that made them visible. Without one, the other wouldn't exist. Ayaan's journey from struggle to strength wasn't a miracle. It was a series of choices: to keep going, to believe when no one else did, to rise every time he fell. And in doing so, he discovered the truth that so many overlook: life doesn't get easier, you just get stronger. Years later, when people read his autobiography titled From Struggle to Strength, they found not a story of fame, but a story of faith. It wasn't about success, it was about survival, about the quiet courage that lives in all of us. It reminded them that no matter how dark the night, dawn always finds a way to return. Ayaan's life became a living example that the human spirit, when fueled by determination and belief, can rise from any depth. His struggles didn't end when he became successful, they simply transformed into challenges of a new kind. But now, he faced them with calmness and clarity, knowing that strength wasn't something you find, it's something you build, one struggle at a time. And so, the boy who once cried in the shadows became a man who lit the way for others. His story wasn't just his, it belonged to everyone who had ever been knocked down and dared to rise again. It was proof that sometimes, life has to break you apart before it can rebuild you stronger. Because in the end, true strength isn't born in comfort, it's forged in struggle. And those who walk through the fire don't come out the same, they come out brighter, tougher, and unstoppable. That is the power of never giving up. That is the journey from struggle to strength.